Hi, I'm Jesse. Welcome back to my channel, Jaffe Duck Productions. Today we are going to be talking about season 4, episode 11 of The Flash. This is the Elongated Knight Rises, and it aired on January 23rd, 2018. The plot is a familiar villain returns to terrorize Central City. Ralph must rise up to defend the innocent while Barry is detained by his trial. Barry searches for the strength to keep his optimism alive in the face of his new circumstances. It's actually a fairly accurate description of this episode. So, we cut right into it, and it's a prison riot already, within Barry's first week of being there. He's sitting fairly well until guards really start getting their asses handed to them, and he quickly does Flash, puts everybody back in their cells, locks all the doors, and sits back down in the exact same spot he was, and just starts fidgeting again, and he marks down another day. We cut to the police at a standoff with a guy taking hostages. Looks like potentially a bank, maybe a jewelry store. Like I said, hard to tell. He has some weird requests. He's like, I want a car, something eco-friendly, like a Prius. I'm like, really? This just really shitty negotiations. So he wants a car, he wants a plane, he wants his own private plane. Really, if you want to be eco-friendly with a car, why do you want a private plane? Let's just not get into that. So Ralph sneaks in the back. He pulls all the hostage away, gets them out of the way, and guy's got a bomb strapped to his chest. So what Ralph does is he grabs the bomb, holds it close to his chest. The guy detonates it, and he goes into this, like, he inflates like a balloon. Guy faints because it's gross. And Ralph just puns it up like crazy for the cameras. He gets there, he's joking around, he's making a good name for himself. Well, sort of. So he gets back to Star Labs, and apparently the media have dubbed him Stretchy Man. And he goes, well, I knew I'd survive because I knew I could protect everybody because you said my cells are polygamized. Do you mean polymerized? Yes, I mean polymerized, not polygamized. He's indestructible. It's just so many puns in this episode. I did not write them all down, but I loved it. It's weird because everybody's freaking out about how he did things, and he's getting too cocky, and everybody's freaking out at him and about him. And I think it's because they are stressed about Barry, but he's also really cocky. But they never really did this for Kid Flash or the Flash. They just mainly doing this to him because he's Ralph. So we go to prison, back to the prison yard with Barry, and he's waiting, he's watching the clock really tightly, and Axel Walker, son of the trickster, starts talking to him, and he's like, oh, you need friends in here, look at him, that's Big Sur over there, and blah blah blah. So Barry's wandering around, refuses to get the trickster, talk to the trickster's son, Trickster Jr., and he starts walking around. Some guy trips him, he falls in mud, gets mud on this guy's shoes. These guys try, strong-arming him, attacking him, blah blah blah. Guards step in with the warden, and warden's like, oh, your 130's here, you're ready to go. It's 1:30, it's Iris. They visit. She admits Ralph is getting cocky. Barry's like, well, I was at the same time. And she's like, we're putting all our efforts into figuring out what he's doing. We're doing, figuring out, not what he's doing so much as what, if he slipped up with Barry and in framing Barry. Now, with looking for the mistakes he made one framing Barry, I think it's a mistake. It's the distraction he wanted with Barry and the team. Barry's in jail, team's looking elsewhere. They're not actually paying. They have him under surveillance 24/7. Doesn't mean they're going to figure out what he's doing right now if they're not looking into what he's doing and not what he did and what he could have done wrong, which is, yeah. She's going to visit every day, every tomorrow. Does she not work? Like, even running the Flash team, she does not work. Like, 1:30 every day, every single day, probably 15 minutes, half an hour, not to mention however long it takes to get to Iron Heights and back. We're looking at like an hour a day out of her life for the next God knows how long. Yeah. Anyways, so, alright, so somebody is sick. So we cut to the infirmary. The Trickster Jr. is sick. He ate pudding and his stomach ended up being upset. Apparently he was poisoned by the nurse there. Her name is, I don't know what her name was. Her name is Zoe Clark. She's the same actress as that played Zoe Clark, aka Prank, in the 90s Flash TV show. And if you've never seen that show, do yourself a favor, go and watch it. It is corny, it is cheesy, it is kind of terrible, but it's amazing. Do yourself a favor, go watch the 90s Flash. So, she breaks her, and in this, he is her son. She is still Prank, she is still Zoe Clark, but she is her, so he is her son. She breaks him out of prison, and they escape. So, of course, Joe's called in to investigate. Warden seems like a really good guy. Like, he's like, go ahead, talk to Barry. Barry is getting really antsy. Like, he wants to get out and take these people down himself. Yeah, and Joe talks him down, and he's like, I don't think cops can touch prisoners, or I'd give you a hug. And they go about their day. Apparently the prison is still quite analog on their video recording, so it's doubtful Cisco is going to be able to break in and divert enough so Barry can get out and in again as the Flash. Great line. So we cut back to Star Labs. Great line from Cisco. I always wondered why my favorite gum disappeared in the 90s. It's Cisco. And it's a joke to how many things we loved in like 80s or 90s. Kids always say it like, oh, my favorite blah 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 was back then, and they just don't make it anymore. And that's part of the reason is apparently the Trickster and Prank went on a little terrorist spree and destroyed the factory that made this gum. So Cisco's disappointed. Turns out Harry still has it on his Earth. They kind of quabble back and forth, and Harry goes, how about you go breach yourself? He's like, that's just some sort of innuendo. And Harry goes, was I subtle about it? Or something to that extent. It was, I like it when they quibble, quabble, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, they're really good together, so yeah. Then we cut to Clark Toy Factory, where Prank took Trickster Jr. and she's trying to break his idolization with his father. And she's like, who's there, who's giving you your food, who's making your meals while you were sitting there idolizing your father's tricks? And yeah, he doesn't care about you, he never really cared about you, he doesn't care about me, we don't want him back in our life. So yeah, he sets up a plan to try to get his father's attention, and he chooses to take on Dibney as the new one to get his attention. That's interesting enough as it is, and so it brings up the question, why would she try to break him out? I know she loves him, Clearly, it's her son, but if he's so obsessed with his father and honoring his father's ways, why would you break him out? He's just going to go back and do it again. So, alright, let's cut back to the prison. Barry's, so it gets around that Barry had talked to Joe, so an inmate talking to a cop doesn't look good, so a bunch of guys, same guys from the yard, gang up on him. This time, Big Sir, big tough guy, I really should have looked up the actor's name, sorry, I apologize, comes in, beats the crap out of these guys for him, and they tell him he's going to pay for this, and yeah, so looks like Barry has a protector. So, cutting back to Ralph, like, there's a lot of flip-flopping, and I'm just going to, that's going to be my general thing, cutting back, cutting back, cutting back. Anyways, so Ralph is taking on the Trickster. Trickster's playing a game. Let's play, what does this do? And it's a simple red bouncy ball. But what does it do? And if it bounces hard enough, it will explode. So, Cisco breaches Ralph over. Ralph comes in. He's like, nice suit, Fallout Boy. Alright, let's try this. Ralph catches a couple things. It blows up. He's fine. But it keeps going like that. And then he pulls out a squirt gun. And he's like, I've got this acid with a chemical in it, X. With chemical X in it. Let's call it Acid. Well, turns out the acid can actually hurt Ralph. So what happens is he's in incredible pain. Cisco breaches, comes over, knocks down the Trickster Jr., and brings Ralph back. Back at Star Labs, they realize that he can be hurt by this, and that if anybody else hit, they would already be dead, or their leg would be melted off. Like, it's lucky that you were you, but this could kill you. And Ralph freaks out. He's done. He didn't sign up for this. He was doing this because he thought he was invincible, because they thought well, they didn't know about this, so of course they thought he was invincible, and that potentially he was. So it turns out he's not. Ralph freaks out, of course. For some reason, Harry keeps calling him Disney, and it's just, every time I hear it, it just makes me chuckle, because Harry's an ass. So cut back to prison. Barry's asking what Big Sir, why he did it. He owed his father for something, and now that debt is paid off. And so yeah, Barry's like, oh, okay. This will come back later on. We'll talk about it then. We cut to Trickster Jr. Mommy is now on board. Stopped taking her meds to not help her son. She stopped taking her meds to understand and get along with her son. And boy, did those meds actually help her. Prank is back though. Let's start up a game show. And return of Bebo. All hail Bebo. National Bebo Day. She still got it. She's awesome. She's hilarious. So they kidnapped two people. They put Bebo in a chair, dropped acid on them. So these people are going to have an acid shower if the new stretchy man doesn't show up. Ralph is terrified. He's out. Cisco and Frost could have gone with him too. So what Ralph decides to do is go break out Barry. Barry's like, no, I'm just inmate numbers 3562. He's going on, fear is normal for a hero, it's how you rise above it that matters. Barry is doing a great prep talk. A line maybe is, having the ability to help someone and not is far worse fate than any death the Trickster has for you. This really, and Another line is, rise up. I don't think it's a stretch for you. It's just so, literally I have to note so many puns. I love it. If he's literally just called the pun superhero, I'm down for it. Just more and more stretchy puns. So, let's cut back to Star Labs. They're deciding to go out. They have a plan of attack. Cisco and Frost are going to go in while they figured out where the acid is being stored. So Harry's going to go try to neutralize it. Kind of two fronts. One fails, hopefully the other succeeds. So they get in. So before they leave, and they're trying to get her out of her shell, kind of bring out Frost. Caitlin's like, well, I can't just turn into Frost, blah blah blah. And what they yell at her is Lexi LaRoche. It's apparently a schoolyard bully, and she still has some deep-seated anger towards this girl. Hi, sorry about that. The recording ended. So, I believe what I was going for now is we're cutting back to Barry back in the prison. He's talking to Big Sur again, and what he says is, so the debt he owes his father is, his father came across him, realized his appendix was about to burst. All the prison doctors have already gone home, and like, if this surgery wasn't done, now he would die. So, what Barry's father convinced the warden to let him perform the surgery. He performed the surgery, removed his appendix, and yeah, he really saved his life. Just not like, let's beat up people or anything like that. No, he saved his life by being a doctor. And he calls him Doc Henry. So, yeah, like, it's a great relationship, I think. The amount of respect there. So, yeah, I understand this is definitely why he stood up for Barry. So, we cut back to the team invading the toy factory. Cisco says, anything here that might look fun is probably lethal. Frost takes pause. Kind of just like me. Alright. I love Frost. She's so much fun. I love how they're kind of doing away with, they're not answering the questions yet. They're kind of just rolling with it. And I'm actually kind of liking that. I kind of like that they're just rolling with Frost and Caitlin being two different people. They're kind of just rolling with the different personalities that come with it. And they're not just making it like a torture every time this happens. And that they're kind of finding a balance. But not saying it and just rolling with it, it's getting easier to accept. And then when they finally do have an explanation for it, it might be complete crap. But we'll be okay with it because we're okay with how these characters are interacting now. And still, yeah, that was a freaking hot line. I love Killer Frost. Yeah, anyway, so they get to the prisoners, they're untying them, and all of a sudden, 3 Bebos with helicopter blades attached to them are flying behind them. All hail Lord Bebo. Bebo is our savior. Yay, Bebo. Anyways, so it turns out that Prank and Trickster Jr., TJ, I'm going to call him TJ now. Mostly through this recap, I'm just choosing to call him TJ now. So, Prank and TJ are apparently the ones under the hood. They pull out some metahuman cuffs, slap them on both Frost and Vibe, and yeah, where the hell did they get metahuman cuffs? So yeah, they get cuffed, they're put in the chairs. He's freaking out, Harry's freaking out up top, trying to figure out how to neutralize his acid, which is taking a while because, well, it's an unknown compound, so you don't know exactly what they're going to need to turn it inert. So Ralph shows up. Ralph shows up in his brand new suit built by Cisco. Pretty badass. I kind of like it, and the goggles are really cool. So what he does when he shows up, he remixes Barry's line to him and makes it his own. But he's like, oh, they clap for him sarcastically. Then they of course attack him, and Junior's out cold real quick. Prank is kind of bitchy and vindictive when she gets around to it. Dumps the acid on the Frost and Vibe. And, yeah. Well, Ralph jumps over, well, not jumps over, but creates, like, an umbrella over them, and it hits him. He freaks out, realizes he's not actually burning to death, stops freaking out, and he goes, why am I not dying? Why am I not dead? And Frost goes, oh, not Frost, sorry, it's Caitlin at the moment. She goes, oh, it's just Harry must have neutralized it. And she did, and he got it. And, yeah, so, of course, Elongated Man, Ralph Dibny sticks around, talks to the press, and as he's doing it, Prank's going to the cop car. She's so happy, she's joking about her TJ is like, oh, let's do this again in 10 to 15 years, and his mom's like, oh no, I'll break us out in 2, and it's just going back and forth like that. I'm like, I really want not to see these two next season, but to see them the season after that, or see them next season and have it, Trickster came back, broke them both out, and then she breaks them out next season, and it just, I love it. It's joking, it's thing, yeah, so, we know they're gonna break out, we all know, and just kind of throwing that little line in there, they're crazy, but, yeah. Alright, so, and back to Elongated Man being interviewed, he goes, he's like, alright, let's drop the Stretchy Man, and let's find something different. And he's like, oh, well, I elongate, man. It's not just stretching, but I elongate, man. And so he's like, alright, let's go with Elongated Man. So back at Star Labs, he's kind of freaking out about the name, and he's like, alright, so, he's freaking out about the name, and he's like, oh, it probably won't stick. It's definitely gonna stick. Suck it up. It really isn't that bad a name. So we cut back to Barry, and Big Sur is being attacked. So what Barry does is, they took out the camera first. So what Barry does is now he's free to use his powers without getting caught on camera. And he can move fast enough and have them hit each other in such a way that it looks like they just stumbled and he barely attacked. And it clearly, it doesn't look like he's using powers. He takes the big guy down and helps Big Sur up, and Big Sur's like, just like father, just like son. So Big Sur and Barry goes, my father called you Big Sur? No, your father called me Dave. And yeah, so turns around, it's 1:30 again the next day. She'd missed the previous one, but she came to visit, and they touch hands through the glass when he vibrates his arm through the glass. This time the camera's pulling away so he can do it. Alright. So we cut to the final scene of the episode. It's Ralph getting a coffee. Ralph and Cisco getting a coffee. And they're arguing about who's going to pay. So Cisco didn't bring his wallet. Ralph doesn't own a wallet. So somebody comes up and really chipperly says, here, pay it forward, and just goes on a little bit of a rant. And she's like ranting metaphysically? No. But metaphysical paying it forward. Something like that. Really smart. this is the daughter from the future. Like, this is clearly somebody from the future. She was at Barry and Iris's wedding. She was so happy about it. She was a server there. And she's currently wearing an Oregon Trail shirt, which is just so weird. And she's super chipper, super smart. And so a young girl paid for their coffee. She finally kind of chippered her way away. And Cisco turns to Ralph and goes, "Wow, cute young girl that Ralph did not hit on." He's like, "Yeah, I think she's too smart for me." Cisco's like, "Self-awareness from Ralph? Oh my God, you are changing." Anyways, so yeah, and she sits down at her own table and starts writing in her notebook in the same language Barry woke up from the Speed Force writing in. Is it some sort of future language? Is it a language Barry created? Is it a language Barry learned after being in the Speed Force? Is it the Speed Force language? There's a ton of questions, but she is clearly a speedster. Probably from the future. My bet is either Joe and Cecile's future child or Barry and Iris's future child. And I kind of hope that they don't like do a whole next episode about her. I kind of hope they just like pepper her in throughout the show, throughout this season. And yeah. Anyways, that's my recap and review of The Flash Season 4, Episode 11, The Elongated Knight Rises. For a score today, I would probably give it, you know what, it's a solid 4 out of 5 lightning bolts for me. I love it. It was a fun episode without being excessively, no, it was excessively silly, but it was a fun episode. Like any time they bring in the Trickster Jr., and hell, now they brought in Prank. I love every minute of it. This isn't something Flash should always do, but it's a type of episode that the Flash does great, and I'd love to see maybe a couple more of these like well-timed jokes, like silliness to the right degree. I love it. Anyways, 4 out of 5 lightning bolts for sure. Alright, that's it for me today. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jesse. This is Jaffe Duck Productions. So hit that like button, subscribe, do all that great stuff. Alright, love you. See ya.